Where did you grow up?
Grew up right where we're sitting.
So where is that?
They're gonna find my house, but no. I'm kidding.
What's up, everybody? We're here with Nickspat. How you doing?
Yo, what's good, bro? Good to see you.
Good to see you
My
too.
guy.
So what have you been up to? Like, how's
Bro,
life been treating you?
Life's been treating me fucking well. This has been like since graduating school. I feel like this has been like the best phase of my life, like by far. It's incredible.
That's good.
Yeah.
I like to hear that.
Thank you, bro.
Tell me about yourself.
So, I'm Nickspat.
Yep.
I'm an artist, producer, guitar player, creator. Yeah.
So, where did you grow up?
Grew up right where we're sitting.
So where is that?
They're gonna find my house, but no, I'm kidding. We're in Suffern, New York.
Cool.
Upstate suburbs of New York City.
Mm-hmm.
We out here.
That's cool.
Good cut.
It's really nice out here.
Thank you,
I
bro.
will say that the houses out here are also really cool.
Yeah, it's suburbia, you know.
Do you think because of your upbringing here, did that affect the way that you write lyrics, you record music, playing guitar, and then even producing and everything?
I mean, there's nothing specifically about this town that like created or like influenced the music that I make. Cause there's not, I mean, there's a music scene here, but it's not like, you know, in the city or anywhere else. So I feel like directly no, but I feel like the way I grew up and the people I grew up around definitely influenced like why I'm a musician and like the music that I make, of course, too. Yeah.
When did you start playing guitar?
When I was 7 years old, 15 years ago. Yeah.
Nice. And you've been keep on going on with it.
Oh,
That's
yeah, bro.
crazy.
Yeah, the guitar is like my first passion, my first love. I feel like it really, when I was a kid, when I was playing guitar, I was like, oh yeah, this is me. Like, that's like cliche as fuck to say, but it's true, and I feel like it resonated with me when I was, from a really young age.
What genre would you say that your music is?
I think it's definitely indie, if you were gonna classify it as anything like officially, but it's got, you know, pieces of everything in it, you know what I mean? Lately, I've been super influenced by like just rock music, like straight ahead rock.
Yeah.
That was, you know, like learning guitar as a kid, that was obviously the music that I gravitated towards first, and I feel like we're coming almost like full circle to that. Now that I've moved back home, I'm like more in touch with like my roots as a kid and stuff like that, and I feel like rock music has like actually also come back into my life in the same way. So rock, indie, obviously pop, but that's like kind of a watered down term. But yeah, I would say indie rock pop is kind of the way to describe it for sure.
You mentioned that of you moving back here. So can you talk about being at school back at Purchase and the differences of how making music then and like learning about how to make music and then coming back here and just the challenges and struggles that you went through going from point A to point B?
Yeah, okay, cool. That's a good question. I think part of school was like just taking as much in as possible, I feel like. And I was being influenced by so many different people, genres of music, and I was really like broadening my palette, because when I, you know, being a suburban like kid, like, you know, my friends were not out here like on the craziest underground shit, you know what I mean? I kind of had to find my own way through like my music taste, and I feel like I always had the wildest taste out of my friends, and it was not anything crazy, like, but going to school, my entire palette was just blown up, like, and yeah, I was learning a bunch, and I feel like one thing about when I was in school and making music in school is I feel like because I was surrounded by so much, it was really hard to narrow in or like find my sound or like what I was really all about. And I do think that when I moved back home, like all of that was gone. I just had the experience, and I feel like I was able to take all of that and channel it into a more like focused, direct point. And I feel like coming back home was like an integral part of me finding like my sound, especially on TV, the last project. Like, yeah, it wouldn't have happened the way it did if I wasn't in that room downstairs, you know, where I grew up.
I've been seeing that you've been traveling a lot lately.
Yes, I have been.
So,
yes, thankfully.
how has that been? Like, where were you traveling to?
So last summer, I just did a like classic Euro trip. I was everywhere in Europe. And then this summer, I actually was in France for a solid month. And just traveling is like the best thing in the world, I feel like. I don't know, it really like changed my whole perception of people and life and like what is possible and like how I want to live my life. So that has definitely found its way back into the music for sure.
When we were at school, you were making music with a group, with your group Sunday Dinner.
Yes, my guys.
So how is it? Like, how is it like being able to make something with a group of people and also having your own sound that you can add to that group too?
Yeah, working with the group is like the best thing in the world, and we obviously are still doing a lot together. Like a lot together. We work together like every day pretty much, and it was really fun, and I had a blast with it. Collaboration is like just one of the most exhilarating experiences, I feel like, especially in music. But I think a lot of like what I set out to do with the Nickspat artist project was like, I really wanted to dive as deep as I could into like my own artistry and myself, because for the longest time throughout school I was always collaborating with Sunday Dinner, with various artists and stuff, and I feel like I wanted to like find the deepest elements of who I am as an artist, and I feel like the contrast and the fact that I get to do both of them too, the fact that I get to be a part of this greater thing that's bigger than myself, and also the fact that I can just go introverted and like really explore the you know, artistic process and how I like to work. I think I'm really happy that I can do both.
Speaking of like the bigger picture, when you guys did the writing camp, you were you were in your own group, because each of you had like your own group.
Yes,
and
camp was fire. You were there, right? Oh yeah, you were taking pictures in my room. Yeah,
that was honestly really cool.
Yeah.
Can you just talk about like the process of like for like yourself and with your group?
Yeah, in the camp.
Yes.
Yeah. It was honestly a really like high pressure at first day, because we were like juggling so many different like logistics and stuff like that, making sure everyone's happy, fed, like whatever. And then we got into the room, and I feel like I just hear, because you know we're all in the same house, there's no sound treatment, so you can hear everything that's happening in every other room.
Yeah.
And I was just like overwhelmed and like intimidated, and like I'm hearing like Joe's room downstairs just blowing up, like they're going crazy, and my room still has nothing. And little by little, like we kind of found it, and then it just ended up loosening up, and it was just like a great experience. But I feel like it's kind of funny, because like my room, everyone has a similar temperament to me in terms of like we're all a little bit more laid back, we're all a little bit more like introverted, I feel like. So everyone was kind of to themselves, whereas the other rooms were like exciting. It sounded like there was a party going on, you know what I mean? And collaboration can totally be like that sometimes, but I think that me personally, when I'm working, it's more like streamlined, it's more like quiet and like focused, and I feel like everyone in the room was also like that. And when we found our mark, when we like really found like the way, because it's the first time that any of us had worked together in that capacity before, so it was like just a wild experience. I don't know, it was fun, and I'm so happy with the song that we left with, and I'd love to do something like that again.
So you play guitar, you also produce. Can you talk to me about like the production side?
Yeah, for sure. So like, I was a guitar player first, and I genuinely thought that like my whole life I would just be only a guitar player, and I would try to be the best guitar player, and that was it. And then I realized that like being the best guitar player in the world entails like sitting in a practice room for 13 hours a day, like just doing this. And I was like, that doesn't really seem that interesting. And then I kind of like fell in love with songwriting and production, and just kind of thought that the next thing was that, and that's how I started. Like in high school I started producing, and then I went to school for production, and and now it's crazy that I view myself more as a producer now than I do a guitar player. Like it's kind of wild. But I just think it opens up a whole world. Like as a producer you can control everything. Like as a guitar player, there's 6 strings that you got to control, and in production it's the whole fucking song. So I just thought that was dope.
Okay.
Yeah.
With you moving into more production stuff, what are the key things that like that you look for when you're producing? Like what's something that like you do that's like kind of like to your sound?
I think it's gonna be down to taste. I feel like and down to what I'm listening to in the moment, but there are a few things that my ear really gravitates towards. I am obsessed with like drums. I feel like drums are the most important part about any production, and I feel like my gauge for how good a song is how good the drums are. So I'm really focused on drums. So I feel like when you listen to one of my songs, the drums are always going to be like behind the lead vocal. Like the drums are like the most important like part of the song, and I also feel like they really shape the aesthetic of the song too. So I'd say drum production is definitely one thing that's integral for my sound. And then, you know, being a guitar player, my fucking production is full of guitar as well.
Yeah.
And I really like using the guitar in like different ways, like not the way that you would expect to hear it. I like using different tunings. I like using different like ways of playing, different textures and shit like that. So I'd say, yeah, there's like this kind of interplay between drums and guitar in my production. And when it comes to my own music, because I produce for other artists too,
Yeah.
but with my music, I think obviously my voice is the thing that glues it all together.
Yeah.
And in terms of vocal production, like I'm just obsessed with vocals that sound like ginormous. Like I want the vocals to be huge, like, and all of my songs have like drenched in reverb vocals, like just huge, like compressed sounding, like pop vocals. Yeah.
Who are some inspirations that you go to for your like sound?
For my sound, yeah. So that thing I was saying about the vocals, I feel like my favorite artist who does that is Post Malone. I feel like his vocals are just like massive and like they convey so much like emotion and interest. It's even in the performance, obviously, but also in the way that it's produced. So I feel like that I'm always really inspired by him. In terms of other artists that I'm inspired by, this question because I always like go into like the database of all the artists and then I'm just like
well, how about this then? How about like some artists that you're listening to now that's kind of influencing like the way that you're producing and like that kind of just gives you like that sound that I was talking about before.
Got it. Yeah, so we have Post Malone, obviously. I'm pulling up my Spotify playlist really fast. I made a playlist that was like all of the songs that really were in my ear that influenced my sound as I was producing TV. So I feel like that's probably the best way to go about it. Here we go. So yeah, tons of Post Malone. And there was this Ruel, I don't know if that's how you pronounce it, album. He's great, and that album really inspired it. I love Role Model, like he's fucking sick. Bakar, do you know Bakar?
No.
He had one song that you definitely know, it's fire. It's what is it called? Hell and Back, you know that song?
Maybe. See, the thing is like
hell and back just to find peace.
Oh yes,
yeah, it's a great song. But yeah, these are all kind of like, Post Malone is like the most well-known one, I feel like, but if you listen to this playlist, you'll hear the sonics and like how the aesthetic kind of like forms, I guess, yeah.
Post Malone's vocals are like, they hit you like very like hard and heavy.
Yep.
And not a lot of people play with that sense when they are getting into vocals. And it's nice to hear that you did that on TV, and because a lot of like not only like the lyrics, but then also just like the way like you like were like pronouncing the words and like the way like you some of the words like you stretched out or like, you get what I mean?
I totally
like it created like an atmospheric kind of feel.
100%.
So,
and I believe that my songwriting process is very much in the sonics and in the like the diction of the way you speak. I feel like, and when I'm writing a song, like I'm never like I have lyrics and then I'm just like writing things down and singing. I'm like singing like random phonetics is the word I'm looking for.
Okay,
it's in the phonetics. So I'm like singing random melodies and like forming like half words around it, like just gibberish. And then I'll go back later, listen to the recording of it, and I'll place words here. I'll be like, oh, I said this word. It sounds like maybe I'm saying this word there, and then it starts to form like a sentence, and then it's like a puzzle. From that sentence, I'm like building out the song in that way. So it makes perfect sense that you would like feel it that way because it's exactly how I write. Like if you read the lyrics to one of my songs, like verbatim, you'd be like, wait, that's kind of weird. Like, you know what I mean? Like I do that sometimes. I'm like, yo, this is like not even the same song because the lyrics and the melody are so like married together. You know what I mean?
Is it cool if you can show us like the production of one of the songs that's on TV?
Yeah. So I have Something to Lose pulled up here. I feel like this one, production-wise, has like the most going on, and it's also like my favorite one on the album in terms of production. Actually, I can't say that because it's kind of like saying like which kid is your favorite. You know what I'm saying? Like you can't pick a favorite child.
Yeah.
But like, I like the production on it a lot. So this one is a really unique kind of like story, and it's probably the way I made it is the most unique out of all the songs on the album, because I didn't start it here, and like I feel like this space in particular, I feel so like comfortable and like myself in this space, so I feel like a lot of my best ideas are kind of being conceived here. But Something to Lose, I was house sitting for a friend in Brooklyn, and it was like a Monday, and I brought my guitar with me. I brought one of my microphones and like my laptop, like bare minimum like recording shit. And I just played this guitar riff here. But it doesn't actually, it's kind of wild. It doesn't actually sound like that. When I recorded it, I actually pitched it down. So this is what, it sounds boring as fuck. So that's what I recorded, and then I was like, I mean, like, that's cool, but like, what happens if I do this? And then I dropped it down, and then I'm like, holy fuck, wait, that's a vibe. I have something here. And then I just started like, looped that, put my headphones on, sang it to the mic, and was just like, for probably 2 hours, just like improvising like melodies, lyrics, whatever. And I had like a few lines that I really fucked with, and that was it. I closed up shop, and then like the next week I came back home. I was like, yo, I gotta see that idea that I was working on, whatever. And then I pulled it out, and like I was saying before about my songwriting process, like there are words and sentences kind of there, but I'm not actually speaking the direct words. I have to like almost find the words that I'm trying to say, you know what I mean? And then I like kind of pushed through, wrote the rest of it, and then I made these drums, which are like probably my favorite drums I've ever made. They're so cool. Yeah. And then just building it out from there. So like if we get to the chorus, I just filled out everything. So we have that like main guitar. And we have these drums. Bass, keyboards, bunch of guitars. Yeah, bro. And then just took the chorus that I wrote, like this part right here is like what I left. It's so exhausting. That part, that's what I left the apartment with, and then when I came to the studio, this is kind of the rest that came with it. And yeah, system overload, story of my fucking life, bro. If you're not a producer, system overload basically means there's too much shit going on for my computer to handle. It's like, fuck you, bro, I'm not trying to do this right now.
So did you do the bass and then the keys and everything like on actual like the actual instrument?
Yeah,
or?
Exactly.
Okay, cool.
Yeah, I played everything, and then the keyboards are here, and yeah, pretty much. I think, you know, like I had this dilemma early on in my like production career where like I saw other producers like at school or just like online or whatever, and they were like really like doing some crazy like technological shit, like manipulating the weirdest sounds or like flipping samples and whatever, and I love that style of production, and I do it every now and then, but it didn't really like feel like natural for me. And I feel like a lot of the production on this album was like coming back to my roots as a guitar player who played in bands and just like as a musician, and I feel like I realized that like my process as a producer is much more tied into like who I was when I was a kid and like coming up in music, like so everything is like live instruments except for the drums are programmed, but everything is live instruments. Everything is meant to feel like it's a band, like even though it's not an actual band sitting here playing the songs, like I want it to feel like you're listening to a band play the music, because I feel like that's where I'm most at home and that's where I'm most comfortable, you know what I mean?
That's cool. Yeah. So I guess the last question is, what's your vision for tomorrow?
My vision for tomorrow, I love that question. I'm probably gonna wake up at like 8 a.m. No, I'm kidding. Have breakfast, take a piss. No.
You know, do all those stuff, and then I'll think about everything else after.
No, tomorrow's vision. I mean, really, I want to keep making art for the rest of my life. I want to keep dedicating myself. I want to keep getting better at my craft and just getting better at being a human being and everything. And yeah, I want to live my life without limits, and I want to be the best version of myself.
That's what's up. Well, thank you for letting me come over and
Bro, yes.
be able to do this interview with you.
Of course.
It's been a pleasure, and I can't wait to see what you do in the future.
Thank you, brother. Thank you for having me on, bro.